Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a good week, and I hope everyone will have a wonderful Shabbos. This week's Erev Shabbos video Dvar Torah is sponsored with brachos for Refuah Shlema Bekarov, L'chole Yisrael, and also Le'iloi Nishmas Shaul ben Avraham Zatzal, who perished saving his comrades in Tzva Haganah Yisrael. His Yortzeit was observed on the 21st of Kislev. His neshama should have an aliyah. His merit should be a merit for the entire Jewish people, and we thank the sponsor for the sponsorship. In this week's parsha, we have the story of the sale of Yosef by his brothers, the fight, the conflict that leads up to, and all the events that follow once Yosef is sold down to Egypt. But the very moment of the sale is described in confusion. There's a shroud of mystery, questions that surround what exactly happened at that moment. And in particular, the Torah records that whereas the other brothers were ready to kill Yosef, Yehuda tells them, "Ma betza ki narogos achinu." What gain will we have from killing our brother? Let's sell him. L'chu v'nimkarenu la Yishmaelim. Let us go and sell him to the Yishmaelim. They saw this group, a caravan of Yishmaelim coming. Let us sell our brother Yosef to them. However, the very next pasuk says, "Vayavru anashim midyanim socharim," and then at that point, passing by were Midianite buyers and sellers, tradespeople. Who are these Midianim? Vayimshechu vayaluas Yosef, and they, who is the they, pulled Yosef out of the pit. Vayimkerus Yosef la Yishmaelim, and then they sell Yosef to the Yishmaelim. There's this confusion. Who are the Yishmaelim? Who are the Midianim? Why are there two different buyer groups? Who actually pulled him out of the pit? Who actually sold him to whom? Rashi explains that the brothers pulled him out of the pit and initially sold him to the Yishmaelim, and then the Yishmaelim sold him to the Midianim, and then the Midianim sold him to down to Egypt. The Ramban writes that there was a mixture. There's a mixture of Yishmaelim and Midianim traveling together, and so the brothers saw the Yishmaelim. They thought they were the leaders. They said, let's sell him to the Yishmaelim, but then it turned out it was the Midianim in the group that actually pulled him up and sold him. However, the Rashbam, Rashi's grandson, writes that if you read the Psukim in a very straightforward way, in an almost literal way, you will come to a very surprising conclusion, one that is at odds with how the Midrashim understand the Psukim. The Rashbam writes that the brothers, after having decided not to kill Yosef, saw a group of Yishmaelim, and they were planning on pulling Yosef up out of the pit and selling him to that group. But they temporarily had walked away from the pit. And in the meantime, a different group, Vayavru Anashim Midyanim, a group of Midianites passed by. And they heard the screams of Yosef, of some man screaming from the bottom of a pit. They went, and the Midianites saw this young, healthy man in the bottom of the pit, and they pulled him up. Unbeknownst to the brothers, took him and sold him so that he eventually went down to Egypt. According to this story, the brothers never actually directly committed the sale of Yosef to Egypt or to anyone else. This obviously changes the entire story and in some ways makes it even more tragic that maybe the brothers would have changed their mind. Maybe Yehuda or Reuven would have been able to save Yosef and pull him out of the pit, but before they could, someone else happened to travel by and take Yosef and sell him to Egypt. This also changes the very next pasuk. Vayashav Reuven alabor. Reuven returned to the pit. Vine ein Yosef abor. And he's shocked. Where is Yosef? He's not in the pit. He tears his clothes. He reports to his brothers, where is Yosef? Chazal understand that Reuven was elsewhere when the brothers sold him, and therefore Reuven alone was surprised to find that Yosef was no longer there. But according to the Rashbam, Reuven was merely the first of the brothers to return to the pit, to the shock that Yosef wasn't there. Someone else had pulled him out of the pit, and he reports it to the brothers, and they too have no idea what happened. It is such an interesting interpretation of the story, and to think through how this will change and color other events, other details of the story. One question on this interpretation is, several parshas later, at the very end of the story, Yosef will refer and say These are my brothers, Asher Machartem Osi Mitzrayim, my brothers sold me to Egypt. At the very end of the book of Rashis, the brothers will ask forgiveness for selling Yosef to Egypt. But according to this interpretation, they didn't actually sell him. So how do we reconcile those psukim? We obviously therefore have to understand those psukim as the brothers recognizing that even if they didn't do it, even if they didn't pull the trigger, from the fact that they left him defenseless in a pit, and ultimately someone else took him and sold him, then they are responsible. Ultimately, they were delinquent in their duty as brothers to protect their brother from the harms of someone else. And therefore, even if they did not actually sell him, but they are responsible, it is as if they sold him. According to this interpretation of the story, the lesson thus is not only that brothers, sisters, other Jews cannot fight with one another, cannot harm one another, cannot try to exclude one another from the Jewish community, but more than that is that we are all responsible one for another. And even if we do not cause the harm, if we let another Jew be defenseless, if we let another Jew be in a situation where they are hurting, where they could be harmed, and we don't help them, we don't protect them, we don't lift them up, we don't support them, then we are responsible. This is true for every Jew towards any other Jew, and all the more so if there's someone in our group, in our friend group, in our family, in our community. We are all responsible one for another. And if someone else is hurting, if someone else has fallen down, we have to pick them up. We have some responsibility to every other Jew. And we can't just defend ourselves and say, well, I didn't do it. I didn't harm them. It's that other person's fault. That is not an excuse. If someone is in our community, even if someone is just another Jew, if we can help, then we must help. And that is the lesson of the story of the brothers, how we make ourselves stronger, how together we can be unified, how we are brothers, sisters, standing next to one another, always ready to help one another, feeling responsible to one another. May we try to strengthen our resolution in this manner to try to help those who are in need, and in that way continue to rectify the sin of the brothers in Yosef that we are still trying to fix today. Everyone should have a good Shabbos and a Shabbat Shalom.